I'm going to dedicate the evening to fragments of genius, those unfinished pieces that Schubert left so many of. I'm not talking today about the unfinished famous symphony. I'm talking about those fragments. He wrote a fragment of an opera, another fragment of an opera. He did write one finished opera, which was not very, very successful. We talked about the Rosamunde, which was not very successful. Uh, we're going to dedicate this evening to the trios, the unfinished trios, the pieces that Schubert left on his way because Schubert was always running. He was always trying to do things, a lot of things at the same time. And the high, I see the famous tail. By the way, one of my cats has the same color. It looks like the same color. I don't know. It's a kind of a ginger cat. Yeah, it looks very much like Johnny, who is going to be called Gino because he seems to be a member of the Israeli mafia. He breaks everything in the house, and so well, we might be calling him Gino. I don't know. So anyhow, the performers of tonight are the Beaux-Arts Trio, started in 1955 by Menahem Pressler, the pianist, and he is the live spirit of the group. He is actually nearing 85 years of age, but he's still a very, very fine musician, a very talented pianist. And although he performs a lot still with symphonies and philharmonical orchestras, he insists that the Beaux-Arts Trio has to stay alive. So today, his partners in the trio are quite young. It's not the picture that we see here. The picture that we see here is dated. It's about 20 years. People that play with him now, Daniel Cohen and Francis Chinero, are, well, nearing 40. They're under 40 on the, as one wants to say, on the dark side of the 30s. We're going to start the evening with a piece called Sonatensatz. Schubert sang in a choir because he always wanted to be close to music, and singing in a choir gave him a lot of joy. It's not that he didn't write music until that time, but he was mainly occupied with the choir, occupied with trying to find a good way to have a passing, if not fantastic, relationship with his father. His father was a schoolmaster and rather severe, although we would find out later in 1823, 24, when Schubert became so terribly ill. His father was the first one to come to him and say, "Come home, we'll try to do the best we can for you." So in 1812, don't forget, in 1812, the guy is 15 years old. And like many 15 years old youth, his voice broke. So he couldn't sing in the choir anymore. And, well, I mean, there were some that would say he could have gone and become a castrato and maybe save himself for later troubles with syphilis and such. But stupid joke, don't pay attention. But anyhow, his voice broke, and in July and he dedicated the whole of August to this piece that we're going to listen to tonight. In the beginning, he called it a sonata. He just wrote 4 bars of the music that we're going to hear later, and we can hear a lot of influence of Mozart, Haydn, Salieri. Salieri was his teacher, and Salieri was a big admirer of Haydn and a big admirer of Mozart. Milos Forman, notwithstanding, Salieri was a very gentle man. If he were jealous of Mozart or not, he said Mozart was he told everybody that Mozart was the greatest genius ever. So anyhow, it's not very important. What is important is the first time that Schubert tries to write for a combination that he was not very familiar with. Schubert, by the way, was a so-so piano player. He was quite a good viola player, although his fingers, he said, were too fat to be able to be a good violin player. And he never, until that point, he never tried to write something for piano, viola, and cello. So this is the first one. And it's not until 14 years later, in 1827, when he will get back to this formation and write his Opus 99, Opus 100, the famous pieces, the Deutsch 898 and Deutsch 929, pieces that are really the apex of his mature genius. But here, in this, what we call today the Sonatensatz, we start seeing the genius. We start seeing a composer that tries, that experiences a lot of things. And although, yes, we can see the influence of, of the big names of Haydn and Mozart. How can you not be influenced by giants like that? And especially if your teacher is Antonio Salieri, who also wrote music very much in that same style. But we will see that that Schubert goes his own way. The way that he creates the 4-beat meter with which Mozart knew how to do those incredible things, he did something that Mozart, well, I can't say he didn't do because Mozart did everything, but to a greater extent, and yet he was 15 years of age. His meter is completely different, and we can start seeing a completely new spirit of composition. And it was so, we will later find out that it's impossible for Schubert to write whatever he did without it being a beautiful piece of music. It's so beautiful that people forget how complex it is and how interesting it is as a composition. Let me see if you are with us. Yes, I think you are. No? What does it say in your green? Is it ready to play? I think you are.
It says waiting for playback.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we are all there. We're going to hear Menahem Pressler and the Beaux-Arts play something which is very, very, well, it's rare because it's unfinished. It's not something that is easy to get by. I was lucky to have the recording, very lovely recording. A very good recording was also done by Christopher Sabalish. But I find the Beaux-Arts have more of a respect for the music, which is not always a good thing, but with Schubert, I think it is. So I'm going to mute all of us, and we're going to, first of all, listen to the Deutsch 28 Sonatensatz, written in 1812 and between the end of July and almost the end of August. And here we go. One thing that we can hear here is the little that uses, sorry, that Schubert does with an instrument that is so dear to him, and that would become more and more, more and more his point of reference, and I'm talking about the cello. It's only towards the end that he allows the cello to comes in and lead with the melody, and normally he would leave it here to the violin. Again, maybe because it was new to him. He never wrote anything until that day with this particular combination. Okay, we're going to jump 14 years. 14 years with so much that happened in his life. 1827. In some ways, was a good year for Schubert. Well, at least the summer month again were quite good. He felt better with his disease. He succeeded in opening again the Schubertiade. Don't forget that for him, the Schubertiades were a must. He had to perform. He had to have the audience with him. He had to. Let me just do something so that we are sure that when we get to the music, you are with me. Just let me see. Okay. Well, I hope that by the time we get there, you'll be with me. Okay. So, the 14 years is so full of joys, but a lot of sadness, a lot of suffering. And again, what didn't he do in those years? 1824, the big year of the fantastic leaders, the Rosamunde that we heard, the schöne Müllerin that we heard, the one and only on-stage performance of his music with the Rosamunde, not the quartet, but the, so to say, song play, and obviously the 13 quartets that he wrote, and here we are with the Notturno, which maybe he started off as another complete trio, left it as an idea, but what a fantastic idea he has here. It's a neglected piece because it's just there in the middle. There's nothing leads into it, and nothing takes it away. But here we see the maturity. We see the Schubert in his best form, and the music is still obviously very, very beautiful, but the complexity is incredible. Each and every instrument has his voice. Each and every instrument has something to say, and if we can just break it up pitch-wise, we can see that each and every one of the instruments has its own central piece, its own pivot around which it turns, and around which we can see more and more of a development that will lead, not unlike what we will hear later in the string quintet and a bit in the piano quintet, the famous adagio of the string quintet, which was written a year later, just before he died. Here we can see Schubert takes half a minute, a second, I don't know, to organize, first of all, of course, the melody, the tune, but together with it, he organizes something that he didn't use before, the pizzicato, which became really something that is so characteristic of Schubert in so many of his quartets, in so many of his chamber music, and he allows himself a tonic harmony which not even the great monster of Beethoven would equal. He left it there. We don't know what he wanted to do with it. He never finished it, but we will find a lot of it in other pieces, in the unfinished, the Eighth Symphony, and as I said before, in the quintet. It's a piece that brings us down to our knees. It's a piece that makes us want to shout because it's so beautiful, makes us want to cry. We don't know why, but it engulfs us and just beautiful and sad things to us at the same time. The first episode in it is a Neapolitan kind of key. It's a flattened. Shula jumps in and out, so I guess there's some bad weather over Haifa or something. I don't know. Theoretically, the beginning there, the flattened supertonic major, theoretically is a F flat, but it's written as an E major. You know that there's nothing between E and an F. That's the half tone and one of the two half tones in the scale. The second one being the B, between the B and the C. The main melodic idea of the episode is a three note. That's all. It's a dotted figure. It's like, here I say, here we go. That's the whole idea of the piece. It's like a march. It's like something martial. It's like something that belongs to the army, but it has the beauty of everything that Schubert wrote. It's slow, but despite the slowness of the music, at the underlying tempo, there's a contrast with the opening section while not disturbing the unity of the whole piece. We will see here transitions that go to C major, to F major, the key in which it was actually written for the first episode, and the whole cadence here is mature Schubert. So let me see if you are with me. Yes, okay. So let's close our eyes and find ourselves somewhere in Vienna, 1827, the Schubertiade. It's unbelievable, but the internet was not yet invented, so we have to be in a big salon, and we'll listen to a piece that is, again, almost forgotten, because it's difficult to put it in a concert. Sometimes the quartets would play it as a encore. Menahem Pressler and the Beaux-Arts trio actually performed it quite a lot, as did in a beautiful ensemble Isaac Stern. So let's listen to the Notturno from 1827. Forget everything I said. Let's just be with the music. here we could hear the mature Schubert allowing himself to give the main role here actually to the cello. If you could have noticed, the cello leads the atmosphere, although the piano is dancing all over. At the end, we even hear the piano, always the left hand giving us the continuum, as in the Baroque music, and the right hand playing tricks, almost as a rococo, very, very high in the high register of the piano. And what actually leads the whole atmosphere and the melody and the tune is the cello. And the cello is that instrument that is actually the most close sound to the human voice. And we can really hear a lament. Something is trying to become a reality and has to struggle against something else that stands in the way. But nevertheless, the combination of the struggle and the almost achievement, because at the end, the piano tells us we have failed. We could not become what we wanted to become. And we are back to the beginning, and the cello brings us down to the earth and to a sense of, for me, of a fulfillment. Although the tune and the melody does talk about a certain défaillance, a certain defeat that Schubert was so familiar with. And let's not forget his somber spirit in all the writings that we can have, that we can still see today in letters that he wrote to friends, etc., etc. And at the end of our evening, let me see that you are with me now, okay. We come to a piece that was not written by Stanley Kubrick, was not written by Barry Lyndon, was written by Franz Schubert. Although it's incredible how many times I heard in different radio stations the DJ saying, and now to Barry Lyndon, and they play this. This is the mature Schubert. It's the second andante of the second movement of his Opus 100 trio, a complete work. It's not a fragment of genius. This is a full grapefruit of genius, a full pomegranate of genius. It's Schubert at his most, on one hand, if we compare Schubert to, which I don't like to do, of course, and I hate to do, but it now came to me, if we compare Schubert to Mozart or to the monster, to Beethoven, with Beethoven we always have the feeling that every note comes exactly at the right place. He might surprise us, but then once he did surprise us, we try to think, couldn't be anything else. That's the only solution. But there's a heavy hand. If you think about the way that Beethoven always finished his pieces, you get the feeling as if he doesn't want to finish. It goes on and on and on and on and repetitive and again and again and again. But it's Beethoven. And when you try to say, okay, let's try and take out the last 4, 8, 12, 16 bars because he repeats himself, and all of a sudden you say, doesn't work, has to be as he wrote it. Schubert is light as a feather. The beauty of the music really hides the complexity. We will find it much later, the second half of the 19th century, with Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky, who wrote the suffering pieces, and he was always trying to hide his suffering and bring out joy that you can read the sadness. And in the 20th century, my big hero, Shostakovich, who in one letter to a friend said, "In my art, I never lie." In other words, in everything else, I probably do. But Shostakovich also knew how to masquerade his music and hide his feelings of dispassionate, I would say almost hate of the regime. And not only of Stalin, the whole system crawled down for him, but he knew how to hide it in his music, writing as if it's telling the glory of the system, yet the cynicism is always there. And I find the same kind of hiding the suffering, hiding the sadness in Schubert. And in this piece, which is, you know, there used to be a time when you went into an elevator in the big, huge buildings of New York, and most of the elevators will carry a tune from Vivaldi, from the Four Seasons. And I couldn't hear it anymore. I hated it until Fabio Biondi with Europa Galante brought back the joy of Vivaldi and took it out of the elevator. Uh, the piece that we're going to hear now also became a kind of marching tunes of the film Affascinato. Uh, it was taken out of the repertoire of the, so to speak, serious music. There is no such thing as serious music. Music is, that's it. I don't know whether you did or you did not see the film, a beautiful film, by the way, directed by Stanley Kubrick, Barry Lyndon. Uh, this piece played again and again in the movie, but let's forget the movie, let's forget everything else, and again, forget what I said. Let me see if you are with me. Yes, you are. And we are going to end the main part of our evening with the second movement of Opus 100, the very beautiful piano trio by Schubert, played by Menahem Pressler and the Beaux-Arts trio. I'm sorry about this. It's something from the last track, so I'll shut up now. I'm sorry about this. I made a mistake. Started earlier and finished. It's 8 seconds that we lost, but I'm sorry about that. I'll give it back to you, next evening. A little bit of the news of Sophia. Sophia is getting more and more like what I want it to be. And probably in a little while, I'll have time also to start calling more Yusofas to get to the helm. Um, you probably saw the life on Yusofia, which is there for the creative spirit in each and every one of you. And there's no such thing as a non-creative spirit. Even Albert Einstein once said, the world is an illusion, only reality is very persistent in trying to bring that illusion down all the time. And Albert Einstein did know something about the reality and the illusion. So I think everybody has to find that inner voice that was probably throughout life pushed aside because leave me alone. It's not true. I don't see a pink elephant. The elephant is gray. So put on different glasses and allow your spirit to have a little freedom. Even when we listen in a proactive way, when we read in a dynamic way, it's our inner eye, it's our creative spirit that actually gives the full meaning of bringing us to tears or finding us laughing in the middle of reading a book. Did it ever happen to you to read a book and break out in tears or in laughter, or listen to a concert or a recital or whatever, and all of a sudden not be sure where you are? And this is what we're trying to do. Life at Sophia is trying to allow each and every one to express, like Madonna used to say, express yourself. So you don't have to start screaming and singing like Madonna, but I really invite everybody to bring out that hidden dark pink elephant and allow him, why not, to dance a little tango to the music of Astor Piazzolla. We also are starting now with the Wiki Sophia, where we are trying to redefine for our own use a lot of terms like what is modernism, what is Baroque, what is listening, what is all those terms that we are so used to hear and base our knowledge basically on those terrible years of school, found a different meaning as we grew wiser and wiser. Some say older, but I say wiser and wiser. And we have a more large spectrum of meanings granted to a term that once used to be whatever the dictionary said. And this is where, in Wiki Sophia, we're trying to find the more intrinsic meaning of today, which might, of course, and will change tomorrow when something else is coming and granting that term a new and more enhanced spirit. A little bit about what's happening this week. You probably got the newsletter we have on Thursday. Uh, Lovely evening with Beethoven, the monster. It's the Spring Sonata. Saturday we start a new series with I must admit, my favorite book, Herzog by Sol Bellow. How can you not love a book that starts by saying, if everybody thinks that I'm insane, that's okay by me, thought Moses Herzog. And the book just from there goes all the way down. He sits in the kitchen and with his elbow throws away from the table the droppings of rats and mice. He's in a huge house in the Berkshires in the northern part of the United States in Massachusetts. The house is huge, but almost completely empty. He sleeps on a mattress without sheets. And what he does is he writes letters. He writes letters to everybody, first of all, to people he knows, people he loves, people he used to love, and then to famous people, to politicians, celebrities, etc., etc. And then he starts writing letters to the dead, letters to God. So Herzog is a life told in letters. It's a fantastic, beautiful book by Sol Bellow, who really reshaped the American novel, if not to say the way that we would like to see more and more novels written. As in all huge works of art, there's not one thing that you can say is the most important. There's almost no narrative. There's, almost nothing happens. The whole thing is 2 months in the life of a promise that hits a wall and it breaks into pieces, which Moses Herzog tries to put back into fragments of words, into letters that he writes again and again and again. Another beautiful line that is something that leads me always back. He says, grief is nothing but idleness. And that is what we start on Saturday. And it will be interwoven with Camus. We're not going to let Camus rest. He died too young. He left us too young. And I just feel that we can at least pay him homage by staying with him. And so we'll have one Saturday Herzog and one Saturday Camus. And that is about this week. We have some exciting events. Next week we have Tamar Halperin, who's going to talk to us mainly about Tamar Halperin, but Tamar is very particular in the world of musicians. Tamar doesn't like one type of music. Tamar likes music, and she'll tell us about how one day a pop song, in a way, sung by Charles Aznavour moves her, and the other day it might be Ella Fitzgerald or Haydn or Steve Reich or Beethoven or Bach, who was the subject of her PhD thesis. Andreas Scholl, who is also her partner in life, will come back on the November 29th and tell us what happened in the meantime. when he did not come to the Sofia. And the last thing I'd like to mention is the beginning of next year, the December 6th, not next year, what am I talking about? Beginning of next month, December 6th, we are going to have a favorite musician of mine, Rachel Mercer. Rachel was for quite a long time a member of the Aviv Quartet. I don't know if you're familiar with the performances of the Aviv Quartet. Fantastic promise, fantastic concerts. For whatever reason, their recordings are not as great as the performance. I listened to them in London and in Tel Aviv, and they were really outstanding. After about 9 years of working with the quartet, Rachel Mercer, who is Canadian, left the quartet. Now she has two, actually three, venues of career. She's a solo cellist with orchestras, and she has a duo and a trio. And of course, we'll let her tell us about it. And well, that's it for tonight. I have enjoyed having you with us here. I hope you have enjoyed being at Sofia, where minds meet online. And just as a little present, I'm going to offer you another piece by Schubert, just to finish the evening. And this time, again, we are going to be with a complete trio. It's the Opus 99, the Deutsch 898, and we'll hear the finale of that piece. And after that, it's good night from you, Sophia. I hope that you are going to listen to it. Just a second. No, there's a problem. You're still downloading. I don't know. As I did not put it into the presentation, it took a little bit longer, but here we are, ready. Beautiful finish of the 898, the Opus 99 of Schubert. This time, by the way, not played by the Beaux-Arts, but played by Radio Stuttgart has an orchestra, and it's a trio that was created by the orchestra. And I find this a very, very interesting, very good performance of the trio. So, excuse me, Menahem Pressler, don't tell him. And we'll listen to the finale of 898 by Schubert. Schubert wrote this piece about 2 weeks after the death of the monster, of the one and only Beethoven, and maybe that's why he had a little problems finishing the piece, and he repeated himself again and again and again. But like the great master, try and take off the 96, I counted them, last bars, almost a minute and 45 seconds of the end of this piece. Impossible. Piece is what it is, stays as it says. And so do we. Good night from you, Sophia, and I hope, at least in Prague, it's cold. In Israel, it's very, very hot. We enjoyed this evening very much, and thanks a lot. Thank you very much. So did I enjoy it. See you next time. Bye.